work at this lithium mine in Western Australia had slowed to about 30%. Now it's operating at full capacity and it's in expansion mode.
The scale at Pilganogora is really incredible. Very, very large resource and ultimately going to be a very large project.
Australia is the biggest producer of lithium in the world. The soft metal is found in spodumene rock formations and is a critical component for batteries, which are in high demand for electric vehicles and home storage systems. About 5,500 tonnes of ore is dug out of this pit every 24 hours and processed into spodumene concentrate. Pilbara Minerals hopes to ramp that up as demand for lithium soars. The miner recently bought the mine next door. Within months, it'll start digging out spodumene from there too. Once the ore is dug out of the ground, it's processed in the plant behind me, and 95% of it is exported to China. With both sides operating, Pilbara Minerals will export about 580,000 tonnes of spodumene concentrate from Port Hedland every year. It hopes to double that in the next couple of years. Analysts say the market will need it.
We do sort of struggle to find enough lithium to balance the market, particularly towards the end of the decade.
Increased demand for lithium has seen prices rise before. About 4 years ago, the market was paying more than $21,000 a tonne for lithium. But in 2018, prices started to plummet before bottoming out late last year.
They're now back over $10,000, sort of $11,000, $12,000, depending on which region you're in.
Miners aren't worried prices could crash again.
In the first wave, it was very much a China story. It's now become much more of a global story. And in fact, even today, European EV sales are rivaling, China EV sales.
250 kilometres south of Perth at Greenbushes is the largest known hard rock lithium reserve in the world. It's run by Talison Lithium, which is owned by a conglomerate of miners. The newest co-owner is IGO, having just signed a deal with Chinese miner Tianqi to take some of its share. Once a gold miner, IGO is repositioning itself as a batteries minerals producer.
We can see that clean energy future. We can see a future where there's a large penetration of electric vehicles across the planet, even Australia.
Australia has historically been a country that exports raw materials rather than turning them into physical objects like iron ore, which is made into steel in China. Lithium has so far been a bit the same, but that's about to change. Later this year, the IGO-Tianqi joint venture will become the first operation to export lithium hydroxide, processed right here at Kwinana, south of Perth. This step adds to the value chain, exporting a lithium compound that's been created out of the spodumene.
We need to be thinking now to make sure that in generations to come, we have a broad-based society that comprises downstream, comprises manufacturing.
This is a spodumene crystal.
Other miners want to keep more of the processing onshore too.
By value-adding the spodumene locally, there's a really strong opportunity for us to become a materially lower carbon footprint supply base in the lithium raw material supply chain.
Just like iron ore, Australia dominates the global export market. But there's no argument what will remain Australia's key commodity.
Not with iron ore the size it is. I mean, we're producing a billion tonnes a year effectively out of Western Australia.
Hayden Bairstow predicts global lithium demand will peak at just 0.1% of that. Adding another burgeoning industry to Australia's mining export dominance is good news for communities in mining and port regions.
You want the extra work to come.
Brewery owner Dan Scott says increased resources activity has a big impact on places like his town, Karratha.
What does make the town busier is from the last boom, it was a construction boom. So from that construction boom becomes a maintenance boom, because now all that extra infrastructure they've got to maintain.
Dan hopes lithium can become a commodity that's also part of the downstream processing chain in Australia, and maybe one day a battery manufacturer. If so, we could be looking toward a very bright future.
Over the past decade,